The FNRad Snowboard podcast is presented by Vans. Season 8 of FNRad is sponsored by Wired Snowboards, Anon Optics, The Boardroom Snowboard Shop, FindAnEpicAgent.com, and Tribute Board Shop in Nelson, BC. Tribute Board Shop is home to the best selection of snowboard, splitboard, and skateboard gear in Nelson. The Tribute Board Shop YouTube channel features reviews on high-performance snowboarding gear, tips for upping your snowboard game, snowboard community events like Turning Man. I definitely need to hit Turning Man this year, for sure. And world-class banter from former world champion Mark Fawcett and Shane and the Tribute crew. Subscribe today, then go buy something at tributeboardshop.ca or visit their store in Nelson, BC. Support also comes from Dakine, Grouse Mountain, Mount Seymour, Pro Standard GoPro accessories, and Volcom outerwear. Also, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, follow, and share FNRad so we can build our following and make more great content. Hit pause right now, tell someone who should know about the show. Thanks. Special thanks this episode to Beneath Base Layer, ThisPlaceIsAwesome.net, and Tomahawk Indigenous Cannabis Extracts. Check out these awesome companies doing FNRad things. Dano Pendygrasse is Canadian snowboarding royalty. To quote Snowboarder Mag, from snapping Terrier's teenage years as a summer camper on the Blackcomb Glacier, to chasing the whiskey crew with a point and shoot, to recording Devin Walsh's textbook switch style in the era of booters, the images captured by Dano Pendygrasse's camera over the past quarter of a century have inspired countless individuals to live the riding life. Dano's hard-working commitment to snowboarding earned him his place as arguably the most influential and prolific Canadian snowboard photographer of all time. I caught him at his house in Whistler, and we start out by talking about FNRad's transition to video.
How many people are watching the video versus listening to the podcast?
We're going to find out. Yeah. We're going to find out.
So I on the podcast I listen to, I don't think I watch any of them. I used to watch the 9 Club a bit, but
I've never watched a podcast.
But for the most part, I don't watch them. I just listen to them. So
yeah, I think I was.
Oh, that's not true. That one we were talking about before. I watched that one with Jeremy.
Oh yeah, Eastone was talking about their numbers. Mm-hmm. So I interviewed Ethan at the Bomb Hole in their studio.
That's rad.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
I literally plugged their mics into my recorder. He's like, "You got camera?" I'm like, "No, I wish I did. This would be so sick to have an FNRad from there."
Yeah.
And Ethan's so nice. Both of them are great
Super
people.
Nice.
Unbelievable.
He called looking for a photo one day, and I was like in the midst of whatever the hell I was in the midst of.
No.
And he's like, "I need it tomorrow." And I was just like, God. You're a photographer, you know.
Yeah.
You know it's not that easy.
Yeah.
I didn't have it. I didn't have it scanned, and there was just no way. But
I like what they're doing. I've never watched their show. Like, I don't watch the.
I think I watched a little bit. Like, the reason it's good is because clips, right? So Instagram has turned away from being a photo thing to being a video thing,
right.
And so the clips are good for promoting your show. So when Trevor's was out, not Grace, Andrew. Like the clips were all over the place.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, it's funny that I missed that, even though growing up in snowboarding, it was all photos. Just did a quote last night for Chris Corbett about what it was like pre-social media with mags.
Yeah.
You'd read it front to back because it was thin.
You devoured it.
Yeah, like I can remember reading the staff list, the people that worked at the magazine.
For sure. I remember being bummed when... Because sometimes they'll like forget to put a photo credit in, just gets overlooked or whatever.
Photo unknown.
But they wouldn't even put one in. So you'd like, because oftentimes the photo credits were buried in the spine, so you'd like be pulling the pages apart to see who took the photo, and then like I remember like they'd forget to put a photo credit in, you'd be pulling apart the thing looking for the credit, and there wouldn't be one, and it was like, who took that picture? Then later on, when I was a photographer, it was like, I took that picture, or did I?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Oh, that must be a thing, because
sure.
Remembering what picture you took of what guy at what place.
I mean, for the most part, because you're the only photographer out in the backcountry
Right,
or whatever.
right.
But if you were shooting contests or something, like a lot of times contest photos are really similar. And,
you're literally on the deck beside the guy.
For sure.
Everybody's taking the same photo.
I remember
it's a great air.
There were pictures of Palmer from Sean Sullivan was the guy who did the Sully's Gully. It was like the first kind of attempt at making a super pipe. And it never got finished, but my first cover came from it of Palmer. But there were all these, like he hit this backside like a trillion times. And I have a trillion photos of him doing backsides. Yeah. And Sully was within 5 feet of me the whole time. It was his setup. And so, like, for a year, pictures of Palmer doing a backside would come up from there. And I'm like, is that mine or his? And every once in a while, it wouldn't have a photo credit on it. And,
That's
there's
amazing.
a Black Flies ad that was his. Yeah. But then there was like Bamboo Curtain or, one of those brands. And it was my photo, but there was no photo credit on it. And I was like, I'm sure that's mine. And I never got paid for it.
Backup copies of the things that you sent away. The original is gone.
It would just be like, it would be like spending twice as much money because you'd have to make a duplicate of it.
Yeah.
And first of all, the duplicate would be shit quality. Mm-hmm. And second of all, it would cost you as much as the first photo.
Gross.
So it was just, there's no way. So when you, like, all of the stuff that I ever sent to Concrete Powder, I don't have.
Is it in a box somewhere?
I don't know. I asked somebody when...
Isn't it Rich Newman or someone?
Yeah,
I
I think I asked Nurmi, and he was like, fuck, right. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like my first cover, I don't have that photo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like
all right,
later on, I'd say that I got like stuff back, but like some of the very early stuff that... I think that in skate culture, they just like threw photos out. I don't know what it was, but...
Blind faith, yeah. Yeah. Like when I was at Mouse's garage, looking around at what the boxes were labeled, right? Mm-hmm. Like the end. I'm like, what's in that box?
You know what's in that box. Best skateboard movie ever.
Whiskey. There's whiskey stuff there too, I think. Yeah. All his movies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a hard to believe like reality.
Yeah.
When you think of what it's like now. It gets harder
as you get older.
Right.
Like I look for photos and they're gone, and and I'm like, I just don't have. I'll never have that photo again.
That's nuts.
There's a guy who did a lot of the graphic design for West Beach back in the day, and one of the photos that West Beach have used of mine was missing, and he started a fishing brand. His name's Noel, and Hook and Vice by a hat, and I was talking to him about that photo's gone. I'll never have it again. And he's like, I bet we have a high-res scan of it somewhere. And he sent me the scan, which is like, I mean, better than anything I had, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have the image, but I've got the scan at least.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah. So Bud Fawcett's been putting out scans.
Oh, he's been killing it
How
lately.
fun is that to see, right?
His scans are good too. Like that.
Yep. I saw a scanner setup.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. It's just on his kitchen table, man.
I struggle with getting colors right because a lot of slides have like, especially my Fuji stuff has like a cast to it that I don't really like. And, but his colors are bang on, and it just like takes you right back to the mags from those days.
It does. That like his photo style defines that era for
sure.
me. Yeah. And couldn't be a nicer guy.
Yeah.
And then the story of him getting paralyzed. Like we're talking like Tony Iommi legend status.
Yeah.
Like against all odds. Like I didn't realize he still shot for years and years after that.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
But not like, not as prolific for sure. His iconic stuff comes from before it for sure. Mm-hmm.
But that could also have fallen off because the relationships got, like the new guys come in.
It's interesting though, because like, people respected the hell out of him. I know all the photographers did.
Good.
But by the time I started like really going for it, he wasn't really contributing to the mags that much.
Yeah. So I'm pitching this to Vance. I probably have to cut this out, but no, I can say whatever I want.
My show. Say what I want.
Jamie Lynn, Cersei Wallace, Daniel Frank, all three have said yes so far. Sean Palmer, Bud Fawcett, the Silcox Hut on Mount Hood, which is situated right beside the half pipe. Bud Fawcett shooting photos, fisheye. So like you don't even have to get out of the pipe. Who cares? and if we're in that hut, we're staying on the glacier legally.
Yeah,
we got the right to be there, take the photos. Steve Van Doren cooking hot dogs. The Vans team during the High Cascade just dropping by.
Yeah.
Right? there's room for 18 to sleep in that place.
But if you really want to get those guys to go to a place, you got to give them powder.
Well, that's what Cersei said.
She said, Baldface.
Let's do it at Island Lake. Let's have a 30-year reunion at
Exactly.
Island Lake. She's like, I don't want to get in the air anymore. It's too dangerous.
For sure.
But just to have those 4 in a room together, you know, with their kids and stuff, just being who they are now.
I pitched a story that's pretty similar. It's called The Cabin, where we set up a cabin for an entire winter and had people come through.
Wow.
And then later on, when I was at Arc'teryx, we did a version of that. Like, we had a place in Revelstoke for a month, and we shot all of our content, had people come through.
That's so smart.
But, I mean, editorially, I wanted to do it with, you know, because the stuff that happens in the cabin is you know, cool. That's the culture, right?
Yes.
And then Roth... a couple of years ago, he was like, dude, I got an idea. And he talked to Dave Lee and maybe, was it Schlosser, Rosenblue, a bunch of people anyways. And it was called 4 Tracks. And you would go to a cabin with 4 of us and get 4 tracks. I would take pictures and then at night make music because it was all the musician guys.
4 tracks.
And it would make it on a 4-track.
Wow.
Dude, come on.
Well, that's a Jay Brown idea that he's given to me that I'm going to run with, which is called FNRad Radio.
Yeah.
And just invite...
Dude, 4 Tracks is so much better.
4 tracks is better. Well, FNRad Radio is just music from videos and snowboarder musician.
Yeah, cool.
And we just do a quick interview. Hey, you wrote a song, epic. You mind playing it acoustic now?
Yeah.
There's a link to your recorded version and your garage band or whatever. And the idea is to engage the listeners and watchers in the culture of snowboarding, which is really, there's a big amount of people that play music.
Sure.
It's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Massive.
But then also from my point of view, I'm like, I want these guys to make a bit of Jake from it. Because the best way to do any kind of money music stuff is you own the rights to your songs and you sell them directly to a group of people that want to hear them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard place to do anything these days. One of my friends is in a band called Stars, and they're, you know, pretty big Juno Award-winning Canadian band.
Sick.
And, you know, it's during the pandemic especially, it's just a struggle. Like, they're a well-known band, and making money's hard. It's tough to be a musician these days.
Did you ever hear the song, the rodeo song? It's very Canadiana.
Yeah.
I'll play it.
Well, it's 40 below, and don't give a got a heater in my truck and I'm off the rodeo.
I talked to the singer of that song. I don't know why. I forget why. I just saw that I could contact him. And the story he told me was amazing. Yeah, I mean, that album was nominated for a Juno.
Was it really?
Yeah. There was like a Calgary outlaw country scene.
Sure.
This guy's a fiddler. It's not his song. He changes the lyrics a little bit to make it even more. But when you listen, you guys will hear it behind this. He owns the rights to that song. He fought for the rights to that song.
Good for him.
And this is what I keep telling you, which is so hilarious. He goes, his grandkid scrubbed TikTok. And he said, you know, with these 5 videos here, it's 150 million views or whatever. And he got his first royalty check. It was like $11.
Yep.
But
streaming don't pay.
The best thing is that he jumped through the hoops, got the rights to the song, registered it with something.
Yeah.
And he's now getting $1,000, $2,000 a month.
Good.
Yeah,
Awesome.
which
That's
is what he lamented. You know, he had this song everyone knew, and he made no money from it for 40 years.
Yeah.
And now here he is, 40 years later.
And then all that has to happen is like somebody licenses it for a movie soundtrack or something, and he'll be just fine.
And he owns the license. But then there's more to the story because, and this is just me guessing, there was a band.
Sure.
And for those 40 years, the reason he didn't make any money was that the other bandmates owned the rights to it, didn't pay him.
Yeah.
And so now I think he owns it, and now he's not paying that.
I would never want to get involved with any of that stuff. Like,
oh God, rights and
right ownerships and stuff.
Well, MacDog's wife was talking about it with me on. They scrubbed the internet of all things MacDog that were bootlegged.
Yeah.
But then now putting them up, they're having a hard time because Mike had handshake deals with these musicians or their labels, right? Like, so a handshake deal with no contract from 1994.
Sure. And even when he started licensing things properly oftentimes those deals would be for 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Because there wasn't kind of a sense that it would live on an internet forever. There was no such thing.
He's going to sell the videos for 2-3 years, and then he's got overstock, and that'll last him the rest of his life.
So there's a, like,
here and there where it
there's
out.
business in re-editing around different songs, but from our vibe, like the nostalgia of a part is about the song too. So
big time, dude. Big time. Well, remember, and I'm sure you saw it, the whiskey documentary, which is now gone from even the link I had to it's gone.
Is it?
Which was a super secret link that you're not going to find it, people. It's gone completely. But it was a properly produced,
Lauren
amazing, Lauren Graham documentary on whiskey. It included the Jackass guys were in it.
Yeah.
I'm
all over that shit.
Yeah, that was crazy, right? That was insane.
That was that was a real shame, because I think that
it was music.
The story
that took it down.
Yeah, there was more than just music, but that story should be told, and she did a great job of getting like Bam on camera saying, "Yeah, there would be no Jackass without whiskey" and stuff like that.
That's crazy.
It was super influential.
Oh my God! It was the start. I mean, Can't Kill Yourself came after.
It wasn't
whiskey.
the start.
No, it wasn't. There was the surf movies way back when. Way back when, with the guys doing
Run
that
Man
stuff.
and totally.
That's so funny that I geek out on this stuff
because we all grew up together.
Fun.
Like when Kearns had that video. He didn't like go and sit in a room and play by it himself. He'd come over and throw it in the thing, and we'd watch it and laugh our asses off. That was the culture.
Those references are like, that was what made you feel a part of something.
Well, because you had to share things in person. Like if you had that tape, there was only one. And, if somebody went to California and picked up a new surf video, it might never get distributed in Canada.
Right.
So I remember Trax magazines coming up from Australia, and we would just pour over them because it was this large format surf magazine with beautiful photography in it. And you would just never see it unless somebody brought it back from Australia.
Exactly.
So
I remember Graham Clements, Roberta's brother, showing me a Japanese mag where he was basically famous. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, look at all the shots I have in this mag. And I remember being like, wow, I got my hand on a bunch of, what was the Japanese, like the main Japanese
Snow Style, probably.
Snow Style.
Yeah.
There was a photographer from Burnaby. He shot for Snow Style, and he had his...
John Kami?
That must be who it was.
John Kami Takahara.
He put his collection on Craigslist for free.
Yeah.
I went and I met him.
I think I sent you the link.
Yeah, you probably
did. Because he's been my friend now since the late 80s, not super tight, but then he has an insurance company. I buy my insurance from him, whatever.
Rad.
So a couple times a year I get to sit and just chat with him about whatever's going on. And he was basically the first guy in BC to shoot photos of snowboarding. So he was shooting that early stuff before anybody
like
was.
Rudy Rasmussen stuff, like pre...
Yeah, he probably has Rudy. I'm sure he does.
Like Evan Feen and
well, Evan
Ken
didn't really live
and those
here.
guys.
Those guys were all Alberta guys.
But they would come and shoot at Cypress. I've seen those. I've seen a film that they made from... There was a year that Craig Kelly showed up at Cypress.
That was 89, and it was the first West Beach contest. But
that was where the first West Beach was.
Yeah.
Was at Cypress, right. And Ross was there. Craig was there.
Transworld came.
Guy
Motil was there.
Guy was there. He shot...
That's when I got my first photo.
The next day or the next week or whatever in Whistler, that's how Ross got his cover.
That's right.
Was from that whole thing. You got your first shot, that shot of you on the Sims.
On a Burton Air. Doing a double grab mute.
Yeah, the double grab mute.
With a guy named Ian Gerard.
Oh, that's so
and it
sick.
says Danny Pendygrasse. And
I love it.
In the thing, they mentioned like the Pendygrasse brothers. And it was like really...
Oh, that's epic.
Because Kevin and Guy were sort of discovering, or at least trying to show the Canadian snowboard scene. At that point, for them to do it in 2 weeks or whatever, they did a trip through Alberta and down to Cypress and then up here.
That's insane.
And at that point, there was still like that. The Alberta guys had just got here, so like 88 was.
You're talking Nix and Mark and those guys.
No, I'm talking
before that.
Yeah, I'm talking
Ken and those guys.
Lundgren.
Oh, wow.
Alex.
Oh man.
Dave Summers.
Yep.
Keith. And there was like a handful of dudes from Alberta who came out. Flynn Seddon.
Nice.
And they came out and they're like, this is going to be the spot where we're here.
Yeah.
And so they came out and we all got a house in Emerald, and that would have been like in '89. And so those guys weren't even at that contest. Like
wow.
So it was a trip, but that's where I met Neil Edgeworth and Johnson.
Damn.
Yeah.
And they were Kelowna guys,
Yep.
is that right? So they were interior guys coming down for the contest.
And Edgeworth was like, he was like the superstar of the day. He was so much better than everybody. And he's like a kind of weird untold story in BC.
I don't know anything about him, to be honest.
Just super, super good. Died in an avalanche.
He passed away in an
Chamonix.
avalanche.
Yeah.
In France?
Yeah, in France.
Wow.
But he was like, he was so good and such a personality, and he was just like sort of ahead of everybody, and then just like got super drunk, and a lot of people caught up.
Oh, yeah. That is a thing, isn't it? Because it's not like, if there's one thing that I would talk about in the nostalgia that Dogger just talked about on his one, it's that really, honestly, you didn't have to be that good.
No, for sure not.
You didn't have to be that good.
But by the same token, you had to get it, because there were always guys who were like seeing that and going like, I could be a thing in this just by hucking.
Right.
And just hucking wasn't good enough.
No.
Because you still had to have style.
Yeah.
You still had to you still had to understand like where to grab your board and how to. Like,
truth.
That's why we made so much fun of backflips, because it was like anybody could come along, do a backflip, and like learn to do a backflip on a snowboard and think that they were really good. But it didn't mean anything if you didn't have a method. If you can't do a method, I don't give a shit.
And my method was like double bent knees, grabbing on the...
Come on.
Yeah, no, it was horrible. I came from a place that didn't have any culture. We were just getting it all from the magazines.
Sure. But you must have seen that the methods were important.
Of course.
Like you see Roach and you see Palmer and Craig, and you see how they do backside airs, and you're like, all right, like there's something there that's better than...
I've talked about it on the show.
Big.
I am that uncool guy that was all Damien. Right. Backflips were the thing. Iguana, even better. Isn't that so cool, the way he pokes it out? And then you'd see his method. He'd, grab a tip grab. And and sometimes he would push a fairly okay method. Sometimes.
I'll never talk shit about Damien, but you're right.
Yeah. The whole thing about Roach in Snowboarders in Exile, I missed it. I was like, it's all indies. He did 10 indies off a few moguls. Like, what are you guys even talking about? And now I'm like, I'm an idiot. Like,
well,
but
like
I wasn't an idiot.
When you watch
I just
Western
was,
Front,
yes.
like that was a good era, because it was really nascent. It was just coming, but how they rode was really different, and it wasn't powerful in the same way. Like a lot of smaller things, but where they grabbed mattered, and and how they tweaked mattered, and that, like, I'll always remember Slasnik's style in Powder. He had this kind of like front arm rudder, he was going, as opposed to like Brushy, who had like a back arm drive, and I emulated Brushy's back arm like crazy.
If you could get
that came
squat,
from Craig.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow, that's so cool. That is so.
But those like that minutia, right? Like, and back then the footage wasn't very good, so you had to really like kind of know what you were looking at,
right?
And so there would be stuff where like Roach would do a half cab with a grab, and it looked tiny.
Yes.
But if you knew, you'd be like, whoa.
Yes.
Because the style was there. The power wasn't there yet, but it came. Eventually it was all there.
Yeah, like in the Mountain Dew thing with the, it's either Sean Johnson or Ranquit. It might be Ranquit.
Yeah.
Switch back 3 out of the bottom of the pipe that hit out of the pipe. I remember looking at that and being like, okay, this is it. Like, this is so much different and better than what is like the skate style thing.
Yeah.
I didn't consider what Roach was doing real skate style. I don't know why. I think probably because it overlapped for me with, I saw Snowboarders in Exile, then we saw Critical Condition, and then all of a sudden it's New Kids on the Twalk, and it's a completely different animal. The boards are cut down. People are doing stuff that's sloppier but skate. And it was all of a sudden like, you could watch a Fall Line film and go, I get it, and that's cool. Like, Big Air is awesome, but I really get this jib stuff.
And because you could do it too. Like there was, you see something that's like an 8-foot air on a side hit, and you're like, I can do that.
Do it.
But you're not gonna, probably drop a 40-foot cliff.
No, no.
Or get a 180 like farmer so that you could drop a 80-foot cliff.
Right.
You know, like they were just on their own level.
That happened out here, I'm sure too, right? Like just a longboard.
Sure.
Like go fast, big,
yeah.
long. Oh, I was out here when it was.
But we had a culture of fast here.
Yes,
you know, like,
in Whistler.
And it wasn't really about boards, but like if you were riding under a 160, everyone was like, "What are you doing?"
I don't think you're going to be able to keep up.
For sure. And you know, we prided ourselves on that.
How was it when Devin came up as a kid? Because he was such a Seymour kid. He probably didn't even come up here very much, did he?
Yeah, I didn't do a lot of riding on hill with Devin until way later.
Yeah. But you guys, you're famously there during, you know, it's gray out, white out up here.
Yeah.
For the West Beach photo shoot, and Devin and I forget who was with him.
Alex Toporowski, Paul Culling, and Boyer.
And it was like...
And Kevin Young actually was there too.
Yeah, and Kevin, right.
Yeah.
Like come down to Seymour.
Yeah.
And it was like, it took a bit of convincing, but once you guys were
Jay
there...
Gunzig.
Oh, Gunzig was there too.
Yeah. Well, I think he was maybe like a team rider, team manager.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think he had a dual role at that point.
If
not, he did pretty soon after.
He came out of the scene that I came out of, you know, like in Ontario.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. Kevin came out of that too.
Yeah.
It was a fun scene.
For sure. And then so that trip to Seymour, like we were all shooting up here except for Devin and Toporowski were down there. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, it was probably Gunzig who was like, let's go hang out with those guys and do like just mountain hits at Seymour.
Yeah, those Boyer Devin like mirror shots of the tree bonk thing.
Yeah, totally.
It really defines that
was
era.
a great trip. That was the first paid gig I got. Like,
that one was.
I got paid for editorial stuff in magazines, but that was the first time like Chip paid me money to shoot this thing for the catalog.
Yeah.
And the turnaround was pretty fast. And I actually shot some night thing at a butcher shop that I didn't know what I was doing, and I fucked up the whole shoot.
Oh no!
Yeah, still bugs me.
I'm sorry to laugh. I mean, I'm sure one of these cameras isn't rolling or something's going to be. You know, it's such a bad feeling. But
yeah,
I mean, now I'm old. See, that's the thing.
Yeah,
is that to be 50? Well, I'm 49, but to be near 50. And I know you're a couple years older than me. Mm-hmm. Like, isn't there something so sweet and nice about how little you give a shit about, like the big things like that? Like, I could not take it as serious as I was when I was 20, because it was everything when I was 20.
Yeah, it's interesting because you know, in some ways, there's a thing like cultures move, right? Mm-hmm. And that is it's a young man's game, and in as much as like your body doesn't really allow you to do all this stuff for a really long time. But more than that, like culturally it has to change and it has to grow up and it has to be infused with ideas from young people. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't want to be the one dictating culture of anything at this point, other than like if it were like a creative thing, because I think that muscle keeps growing, and I think that creatively there's a huge creative spurt in people's 50s and 60s.
Yes.
But like in terms of like the progression of snowboarding, like I don't want to dictate that. I know what I like and don't like.
Right.
But I certainly like, I want to see what their take on it. We had our take.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
although I want to see them have a better take than just our take part 2.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see another switchback side 5 off of Forum step down.
Right.
I've seen it done by Peter. I don't care if anyone else does it.
Right.
You know?
I was thinking about this because I knew the conversation would eventually land here. There is something to, you know, doing it a little more styly, or, oh God, these guys
you think they're
that we
be
have
more styly than Peter?
Than Peter Line, no, you're not. It's true.
There's something to be
They're
said.
Limited.
I think
They're
that
limited.
we live in a really. I think the snowboarding world, it has a different set of standards. In skateboarding, that would be so frowned upon.
Mm-hmm.
But in surfing, like, is somebody getting barreled at pipe ever going to go out of style? Of course not. It's the same trick. But
yeah.
But like doing the same trick that somebody did 20 years ago and not improving on it, there's something like, to me, that's just kind of like lazy about that.
Well, the thing was, you guys
do it for sure,
yes.
but don't put it out in the video part.
Yeah, right. Cut it. Well, that's what I was thinking on the way up here when Mac Dog was talking about how much they cut, right?
Yeah.
You don't do that
Dogger
anymore.
was ruthless.
You don't do that anymore.
Which is, but the thing is, and here's why. It's because it's no longer this big build up to a dramatic movie launch. Right. It's content. It has to be out all the time, and you have to fill your channels.
Exactly.
So of course you're putting everything in there. You're putting all the B grade. You're putting
everything.
Like I like kind of sarcastically about 10 years ago said that like park edicts killed snowboarding. Okay. And I was just being a shithead to see what people would say, just trolling the world. Yeah. And people got really upset about it. And it was like, and it's funny when people get upset about something, you probably touched on something that's kind of true.
Probably.
And like you can only see so many park edits before your eyes glaze over a bit.
Yep.
And like the like it's ride on rails. It's not even ollie to rail.
Right.
And it's like, it seems like it's gotten easier to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Equipment's got better, and people are trying less, and part of that is a consequence of there's no reason to. You're not getting paid.
There's no money.
There's no money in it.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a feeling that it's all been done.
A lot of things have been done.
But here's the thing: like skateboarding never fell into that. Skateboarding always reinvented itself.
That's true.
Skateboarding always found a way to make it more interesting.
And like you say, surfing is like literally you're riding on a wave.
So, I mean...
And it's still the same.
You can't tell me that there's not a new take on stuff. And I think it's just lazy to... And I don't mean lazy, like going up the mountain every day isn't lazy. But it's lazy to put the same stuff down over and over again just because you're fulfilling a need for content.
Well, the mechanism was different. Right? There was a top dog. There isn't a top dog.
I could hear kids right now going like, well, it was easier in your day. And yeah, it was.
Sure.
It was also harder.
And harder, yeah. Like when I look at snowboarding through a long lens of history, I mean, there's 20 years at the beginning where nobody's really doing anything.
Sure.
Like TK does a air to flat on Wine Rock. There's a couple of other shots from Wine Rock that are sick too. Yep. Tom shoots
there's a Palmer one that's awesome.
There's a Palmer one that's really good.
Yeah.
I don't know who shot it. I don't think it's Tom.
I don't think it's
Tom's
a
different day.
I think it might be Bud.
I think it's a Bud shot, and it's a different day, and it's kind of similar angle, but it's beautiful.
I probably said this before, but I asked Tom about the
No way.
The TK shot.
No way.
And he was like, yeah, I had this 15 millimeter rectilinear lens, and he was like super excited.
What the hell is that?
It's basically a fisheye that doesn't fisheye.
Okay.
It's super wide, but it doesn't like do the bubble effect.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he shot it on. But
that's why it looks like it's 500.
Crazy. Yeah.
But yeah, because I've seen Wine Rock, and I'm like, oh, damn, that ruined it.
But it's because the fisheye is such a ubiquitous thing in skateboarding and snowboarding, especially snowboarding in the early days, not as much now.
Yeah.
But it was such a ubiquitous thing. So to have that kind of a distortion of size without having the optical distortion, it made you think that it was like, holy shit, this is just shot with a regular lens.
It was nuts. Yeah. Well, okay, so that I think that leads directly into what we were talking about. Your job at the time that you guys were documenting snowboarding was no more fuckery.
Are we rolling?
I hope so.
Have we started yet?
Yeah, we started.
This is just a typical conversation with you and me, really. Yeah.
No fuckery. You got to land now.
That's right.
Right? And
well, let's be honest. In the early days, that wasn't really the case. Like it was up until like I would say the skate era hit. Like you could get away with like not landing and getting away with it. Like
absolutely.
Achenbach sent me off some stuff to some flat landings, and the picture ran, but
pictures are good.
I didn't land it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
but you internalize that.
Yeah,
because I think it happened independently all over the place that people started holding themselves to like a superior standard.
For sure.
And then because that was happening, it was, and at the same time, the money was just coming in from everywhere. People were just going like, we got to jump on this thing.
Yeah.
Then, it just got blown out. I think what you guys were doing, I don't think there's anyone doing that anymore. I don't think there's anyone going, we need to, like it's more like, hey, let's take the new kids to the step down, and who cares? Just do your best trick. We don't care what's been done here before. Just do something sick.
I had a conversation with Crispin Cannon this week, and we had this conversation basically about that idea of like shutting down spots and a lot of the places that are famous because they're really good
Yep.
It's a really good setup, a really good takeoff, really good landing, really good scenery. Snow comes in right.
Yep.
Or they're close, which matters too.
That's true. That's true. When you look at how many of those Brandywine spots are close, that's awesome.
So, but the part of our experience back then wasn't just the shooting; it was the exploring. And so, part of the reason why that's an interesting, and I mean, the history of storytelling is exploring. So it was a great piece of that life. But the magazines were the place to tell those stories. And I think that the exploration now doesn't have the same kind of output. It should. People should be able to tell the story in long form of exploring, but what they're not doing is what they're forced to do is put in a 15-second clip, and you can't really tell that story in a 15-second clip, but you can tell the story, and the all those places that people are still going to are still close. They're still really good setups, and they're just the low-hanging fruit. And again, like if no one's paying your bills and paying for your gas, it's harder to go farther. And we had enough money so that we could go farther. And Crispin was kind of like running down his cost of doing business on a typical day, and it's really high. Back then my rent was cheaper. My film was paid for, and I had a lot of expenses paid for. So there was no question that it cost me gas and a sandwich. So I was going to go further, and we spent lots of days finding new stuff. So the reason that all those places exist is because we pushed out and found them. Right. And there's no incentive to do that anymore. And so like I would really like to see people shooting on new stuff
because of the gatekeeper. Right. So
it's harder to do.
Let's say Forum does it, right? They say
we did all the low hanging fruit.
Right.
And Forum did do that.
Right.
They pushed
totally,
especially in the rail era. They were like, all right, let's go see what's in Minnesota. Let's go see what's in the farther parts of the Northeast. Let's go see what's in Finland. Let's go see what's in. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
hell yeah.
So that exploration continued to happen.
Well, you were there for the transition too. This is what I was thinking of pay to play from just like, okay, I saw this guy in the Whistler Park. He's ripping.
Yeah.
Let's take him to a backcountry jump because I know he can do it. All right, he's going to, let's get our shots. Let him practice in the landing because he's going to ragdoll like crazy. But you could bring people out there and build a star.
Yeah, it didn't really work that way.
No, that never happened?
It did with like Mike Page, that happened. But he was an outlier.
He was, oh my God.
For the most part, like people came up by shooting with smaller crews, getting some pictures, and they got on the radar not by like, let's take you out and see what you can do, son. Like it just didn't work that way. Like they had a part already in something. They were kind of like
the feeder stuff, like Sandbox or something.
Totally.
You're like, okay, the Sandbox guy's stepping up.
With Page, I was just like, I was super hungry all the time. So like on days that I wasn't shooting with Forum, I'd go shoot in the park. Yeah. And so when a bunch of people got hurt in the Resistance year, I guess, and Kearns is like, we need like more people to fill this thing out. I'm like, yeah, I'm shooting with this kid Paige and Sylvain Beauchamp, and like they're both riding Forums already. And like, I mean, it seems pretty like, let's give them a chance.
They kind of got a shared part in that, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so, but Page like really put himself like he did. Yeah. And so, that was the first time that we like literally grabbed people out of the park and took them into the backcountry. Yeah. And like I was bringing Page his lunch because he didn't know what he was doing. Like, I mean, like
I know those days. I'm still pretty close to that.
It was pretty, I think he was using Peter's sled because Peter wasn't here at the time, but he left his sled up here. Yeah. And it was just like, all right, buddy, you got a month. Let's see what you can do.
Let's do this.
And he put down like a bunch of tricks.
Yeah, so he got a part. Yeah, that's sick.
And then he burnt Peter's sled down, I think.
Oh, nice. Out there.
Yeah, out there.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that too. Yeah. It's nuts.
But for the most part, like people came up by, like JP and Jeremy. Forum wasn't their first sponsor.
No.
They went through
Rev was great.
That's right.
Yeah.
But so there, like
I'm just talking about that era. JP and Jeremy are a great example, right? They film with Whitey, they film with MacDog, they film with, and these people they didn't get introduced by a team manager who said, here's the $10,000 and here's the 2 guys that are going to be representing us because we're sponsoring the film. Which once it becomes pay to play and then it stops being pay to play, then you've got no incentive for that was my point. I kind of thought it through.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. There was, because there were like kind of non-affiliated film crews out there. Like Murray Seipel was making his own projects, and Brad McGregor was making his own projects, and like those guys were making stuff, and they had sponsors, but they weren't like a Forum or a Burton. Like when Forum and Burton and some other brands, I think Nitro, made their own project. You know, when they started like coming in and saying, well, we're just going to make our own movies, that was really bad for the industry. Yeah. You know, because it broke up crews. And I mean, it might have been good for the companies, but it was bad for the culture. I
think it's bad for the companies too, because you get this false sense of who your ringers are. Sure. Because you don't have MacDog cutting the footage. Right. You hear this on the Bomb Hole on my show a lot, that somebody got there. You know, Seth Hewitt was talking about, he's so excited, he's shooting with MacDog. Yeah. And then he goes to the premiere and there's none of his footage in the film. And then he's like, what the fuck do I do? Yeah. So he's a smart kid. Yeah. He goes, can I have my footage, please? Yeah. I'm going to give it to another project. Sure. Because they paid for that footage. Yeah. Like, it's got to go somewhere. So, of course, whoever he's writing for. But typically, Dogger was really, really smart with that. Like, everything that he made was an asset to him. So if it wasn't in his footage, it would be cut into a promo loop for a trade show for that brand or whatever. Right. Like, you know, that stuff didn't go to waste. No. We talk about the cutting room floor, and that's true. Like, he cut ruthlessly for his projects, but he knew where value was. It sounded like he worked with Seth to get it into another movie project. Yeah, I'm sure that's true. Which is like, well, that's good. Yeah. You know? And then Seth went back and filmed with him again. And he's a long-term thinker too. You know, he's not going to like burn Seth down and then what does he do when he needs him again? But like I was saying, so I think having that kind of gatekeeper, you being one in that era, that was the integrity of the pro scene at that time. Yeah. And as soon as you make your own project, you could do a 2-year project on any pro. Sure. And they're going to get some footage and get some real good, you know, talking points. We saw a lot of those. Dad, you know, the dad saying he's always been doing this since he was a kid, or the women. Yeah. Literally anybody who's like good enough to be sponsored, you could do a 2-year project and get a 20-minute film. If you can't, you're doing it wrong. Yes, totally. You know, like there's always a story. So it's not. So I think now it's all that. Yeah. I can't think of a film crew that's independent, that's just taking money from people that... Yeah, can you think of a company that's sponsoring independent films? No, why would they? Everything's just... Vans sponsors podcasts. Vans is one of those ones that is an anomaly in the industry, but they've got so much money. That's the thing. But I mean, beyond just the money, they've been really smart about... And it sounds cynical when I say smart about, but I don't think it's cynical. I think that they really understand that where their culture is, where their heritage is, and why that's important. I think that it's really easy to see brands come and go from action sports, and like, you know, Nike's in for a bit and then they're out, and you know, you see all these people come and go, and Vans ain't that, you know, and all marketing buzzwords, all anyone talks about is authenticity, and it's like it's to the point of parody that authenticity is important. But, but there's truth to that. You know, Vans is an authentic company for a very long time, and they continue to do the right things because they got spanked across the culture. They got spanked when they were going after the money thing early on, and they realized, well, but okay, what do we do well? Like, what do we have? We've got history, and we've got real authentic innovation. Yeah. We've got artists. We've got, you know, influencers from before that was even a term. And they've been making hot dogs at events since the 80s. Right? Yes. So. Yeah, I love Vans. I really, really do. And it's a weird thing because of the way the economy is now with gig economy stuff and with like intentionally losing money to gain market share. Yeah. Vans could do that. But they're keeping that real authenticity there with real.
But when I look at brands in the space right now, like look at
stuff.
Look who's in snowboarding still, and to be in it still, you've got to give a shit about it because it's in a lull. Let's say it's not on one of its big. It's obviously the last couple of years have been a bit better, but it's gone through a point where it's not like as culturally relevant as it was at one point. It's like my phone never stopped ringing in the late 90s, and now it's like that. The idea of snowboarding being that interesting, it's just
right.
There's still stories to be told, but the brands that are still in it, they must give a shit about it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
They would have to be making money still.
Yeah.
They would so, there's not a lot of like, it's a great time for snowboarding when you're like that, because the people who are doing it give a shit about it. The brands that are doing it give a shit about it. Maybe nobody's making a fortune, but what a great time.
Yeah.
If we still manage to get snow hitting the mountains, then it seems like a perfect storm.
I love the pro riders that I meet now because I didn't meet a lot of pro riders back in the day because I was the shop guy, right?
Right.
Every once in a while there'd be somebody comes through, you meet somebody, Seth Neary at Whistler or something, like, hey, awesome. I know who you are.
Yeah.
But the people that I meet now, I'm like, it is the same, cut from the same cloth. Like, to be cool, you've got to not care too much, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
you've got to be really good. But also,
like most of the
not super arrogant.
I remember Warburton would pound nails in the summer so he could be a pro snowboarder, and we're back to that. So, so like it's come full circle. Like people have summer jobs so they can be a pro snowboarder.
It's true. Yeah, it's nice to hear Rasmund's not doing that this year.
Good for him.
I know, right? Like I've been rooting for that guy for like 6 years.
Did I ever show you that picture that I took a picture of his dad and him, and they're both like going into a surf tournament, and I put them both like together.
I've seen it. I feel like
I didn't share it. I think I shared it with him, but I was just like, the style was so similar, and like Chris has got way better style than his dad did, but it was cool to see that genetic thing.
Well, Terrier talked about it.
Yeah,
I said, "Do you kids have your style?" And he goes, "No, my dad does."
Oh wow,
how cool is that?
Yeah,
right.
Really cool.
That his dad's got that he learned it, and then his dad came into it super late to the game.
Yeah.
But like when he's watching his dad turn, he's like,
It's funny when I see Terrier, I see Craig, because I think that he picked up so much of Craig's style.
But there's something more to it. That's that
he brings that Euro influence, like on the nose method.
He would hate that Euro thing. He brings the Scandinavian. He was the first.
Sorry,
scanner.
You're absolutely 100% right, and I apologize.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, because Euro influence was different.
Yeah.
When I think Euro, I think neon. I think no grabs.
Yeah, but that's early. Like that. I mean,
and no offense, Europe. God, we've got people that listen in Europe.
Euro style. In the 80s, it was as dorky as like neon North American style in the 80s.
And then in 90s, it meant that you had posy.
Yeah, and probably, I just always think of like really far up on the nose methods.
Yeah, totally.
But there's a lot of guys who broke that down too. That
Dude,
stereotype.
and you know what? I get so excited thinking about it. I'll end on Regis Rowland. The fact that he did everything he did in a bubble, just him, one guy, no influence. He's riding with mono skiers, and he's the guy on the snowboard, and he's making it up from scratch. And he was rad, man. Go watch his stuff; it's insane.
I've seen it all.
But we're almost an hour in, and we haven't even talked about the thing that I came up here for, and I'd like to transition to. Well, I mean, I'm really happy that you're good, man, because the time I talked to you before yesterday or the day before, you weren't that good. Like,
well, no, I was okay a couple days ago. I wasn't very okay.
No, you were good. You were good yesterday or a couple days ago, but the time before that was like 2 months before.
Yeah,
and there was some major stress in your life.
It's been a month this week, 4 weeks this week since I had open heart surgery.
Oh my God. That's nuts.
Yeah, it was nuts, man. I was I spent a year getting worse, just feeling like my energy and life kind of dripping away. And then that's all over now.
Yeah, you were living in this beautiful where we recorded before the no-show event in your that was your business. We recorded
But you recorded Roth there, not me.
Recorded Roth at your house, but we recorded you at your office.
At the office, right.
Which is the same basic
in
area.
Gastown,
Which, when it's one of those places when you're up above it, it doesn't feel like you're in it. But then on the day-to-day, you're coming in and out of your house in a war zone, you know?
Yeah. Like, to be fair, when we moved there, it was like, it was kind of turning into a better, like we used to make comments like every day, go on the street and be like, felt better today. Didn't feel better, So for
gentrification in action.
Well, kind of, but the Gastown is interesting because it's not like the traditional population has been pushed out of there.
Right.
It's just like there are two parallel cultures that live together and don't interact.
That's true.
It's a trip.
And it's been like that since I moved here in 1993.
Oh yeah, it's been there for a really long time.
Yeah.
But like at that point, the really negative parts of the struggling culture were getting better.
Yep.
And of course there were more and more people like who were taking a chance on Gastown. And then just before COVID and during COVID, it all went really downhill.
I remember Craig's forum. Remember the brick wall showroom in Gastown? That was like where I became a convert. I was like, oh, this place is epic.
Totally.
This place is incredible.
Yeah.
And then your guys' stuff.
Our place was great.
Was great like that. But like, ironically, we just heard Whistler ambulance in the background.
I never hear that
which
anymore.
Is you would never hear, right? But like when we were talking about the stress of city life, I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling like living in the heart of a busy city is taxing in a way that is hidden from you.
I think I certainly didn't realize it, and I probably am. I wanted it to work out in that place. I liked the place that we had built. We turned our house into the place we wanted to live in, and we did a big reno, and it was great. But the underlying stress of living in the downtown east side is just like it's just too much. So we sold that place and moved up here, and part of that decision was because I was going to be going through this open heart surgery, and the recovery. I still can't imagine having to do the recovery in the downtown east side. I'm so glad I'm in Whistler.
Yeah.
But there's no question in my mind now that the like never sleeping at night and the constant background stress contributed to my heart disease.
So what was the first signs that you had heart disease? Like how, because you're young.
It's awesome being like 50 and 51, 52 and going through the heart program because everyone refers to you as the young guy. It's awesome. Because in the rest of your life, you're feeling like the old guy.
Oh my God.
And then you go into the hospital and like, oh, you're so young. Yes, I am. In 2016, it was really smoky. It was one of the fires.
I remember that. Yeah.
And I remember
Mad Max, the red sun in the sky.
We just had like province-wide forest fires that were really bad.
Yeah.
And I was walking around and finding it hard, like finding my chest really tight, and just like walking up a little hill and thinking like, this smoke's really affecting me. It's crazy. And then the smoke went away and it still happened. So I went to the doctor and they're like, oh, you have angina. And that means that you have a heart problem. And so we went through a series of tests. I actually did a full year of like hospital regulated exercise. So I would go in twice a week to the hospital and strap into things, and they would monitor your exercise.
Oh wow!
And diet and my cholesterol levels are really, really well managed by statins, but all the exercise and stuff in the world didn't change it. So like lifestyle changes did not change my cholesterol levels whatsoever.
Oh, wow.
But statins totally did.
So those are little things that open up your
It's not even that.
Arteries?
It's just, it's a little pill that regulates how cholesterol goes into your blood, basically.
Oh, okay.
So I was on statins, and at that point, my cholesterol was better, but my heart was still plugged. So then I went in 2018 and had a stent put in, had 2 stents put in.
Oh, that's what I'm getting mixed up.
Statins and stents.
Statins.
Yeah. So the stent, they go in through your wrist, sometimes groin, but for me in my wrist, and then they put a little little mesh tube in the artery in your heart. It expands, it opens up the thing, and that, like, the next day I was like, oh my God, I'm back.
Blood flow.
Totally. It was
Stoked.
amazing. And so that was great for a couple of years, and then in about this time last year, something changed, and I could tell that something changed. Like, my head got messed up. I was pretty depressed, and I started getting angina again. I could tell that I wasn't getting enough blood. And so it took a while to get in to do another angiogram, and they tested my, they went in to basically see if they could put another stent in. And they got there and they couldn't. And so they're like, all right, sorry, bud, you're getting open heart surgery.
Oh, wow.
So
that's got to be bad for your heart to find out that you're getting open heart surgery. The irony.
And then like so at that point I had just started a new job. I had I was doing client work for this company, and they asked me to come on, and so I started working for them, and it was this really great thing. And then I got this news, like, you're going to get open heart surgery.
Oh, God.
So we sold the place pretty quickly, and then the surgery date was supposed to be just before we moved up here. Mm-hmm. And then it started getting pushed back, and it got pushed back for like 6 times. It got pushed back.
And this is COVID related.
No, well, sort of COVID related. So because a lot of people didn't go to the doctor during COVID, when they finally did, a lot of them had really bad heart problems.
Gnarly
and
stuff.
so people were getting shoved in, like, left, right, and center, emergency heart stuff.
Got it.
And so I just kept getting pushed back because mine, while it wasn't an emergency, it was getting worse to the point where I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs anymore.
Yeah.
And so I was getting, like, worse and worse and worse. And the stress of waiting for this thing to happen was getting worse and worse and worse. And then finally we got the date set, and it got pushed back a week again. Oh, the night before I went in, I was supposed to go in for 10 a.m. And the night before, the surgeon phones me, and he's like, hey, can you get here at 6 a.m.? He's like, otherwise I'm just going to have to push you back again. Because it was after a long weekend. They had said to us, the only reason that you'll get pushed again is if somebody's getting a heart transplant. And I'm like, what are the odds that some healthy young kid's going to drown on a long weekend in BC? Probably pretty good. So a heart became available, and they did a heart transplant.
Oh,
so
wow.
He did my surgery, and then that afternoon did a heart transplant.
Jeez.
Dude is
how's the surgeon?
Best.
Yeah, those surgeon
best.
guys are awesome. Man.
They have a confidence that's like nobody else.
Yep.
The kind of person who, like, holds your heart in their hand literally, and they do it 3 times a day.
It's nuts.
It's nuts.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a great relationship with my orthopedic surgeon when I broke my leg.
Yeah.
He was on the way out. He was an old-timey surgeon.
Yeah.
But I would agree 100% that confidence, I've never seen it
it's
anywhere else.
It's like a fighter jet or fighter pilot or something.
Like an astronaut.
I got this.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's nuts.
Yeah. I spent 4 or 5 days in the hospital, 4, I think. And I got out pretty quickly because I'm the young guy. But it's a slow process of getting better, but I walk 40 minutes a day right now. And
you look way more healthy than when you were down in the city.
I've got color in my face, and it's like I still can't lift the dog, for instance. I can't I can't drive yet, but that'll be in the next couple weeks.
Oof,
so
driving is stressful, man.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I don't have to, but I just want to get on a bike. There's so much stuff that I haven't. Last year was the first year since I was 3 years old that I didn't ski or snowboard.
Oh, you didn't the whole year?
Couldn't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember because we were riding together the year before. I was
before.
like, this is going to be so much fun.
And I was
Dano
in good shape
the crew.
then.
Yeah, this is epic.
Yeah.
You rode so fast. That was the craziest thing, was that you
fun.
Instantly rode so fast that I was like, this.
That's just how I
ride. Well, I got to step my game up when Dano's around, which is perfect.
I've always been a fast snowboarder for sure.
Yeah. Well, you're a part of a group of snowboarders that took the piss out of each other and kept everybody on you actually had to be good.
For sure.
There was,
or you didn't get to play.
Yeah, you don't get to play if you're not good.
And there, there's like that. I look back now and I'm like, yeah, that's how it was. But now I'm like, oh man, I'll wait all day for somebody. Like I'm out snowboarding with somebody. Of course I'll wait for them.
Right.
It's like I couldn't have done that back in those days.
I still have some difficulty with it under very specific conditions.
Yes.
But for the most part, I can ease my way. I go enough. When you go a lot.
The best thing about about having like a pass at Cypress was going all the time, even when it was crappy.
Yep.
And so like you got to appreciate just snowboarding on bad days and like sliding around just for the sake of sliding around. And that, because we would go 100 days. Mm-hmm. So you don't get 100 good days in a season.
You don't get 20 good days in a season.
We were up on a lot of bad days, but it was still fun. It was like, it's raining. Okay. Well, we're still snowboarding.
I would consider rainy days a lot of time better than icy days, but then icy days can be good too. I mean,
my least favorite. But
yeah. Oh man.
Anyway, so this season we just bought our passes this week.
Oh, good.
So
welcome back. That's
making
great.
up for lost time.
So you're going to be up here. I haven't
had a Whistler Blackcomb pass in a
So you
long
got a
time.
locals pass? Is there a locals pass up here?
Pass,
the Epic Pass thing is nuts, right?
Stevens Pass too.
Yeah, there's a lot of good spots.
Fernie,
if you want to do a road trip this year, let me know.
For sure.
That would be fun to do.
For sure.
I should get Epic Pass as a sponsor of the show, but I don't know. People seem to get really polarized around those conglomerate pass things.
Sure.
Because they make the mountains way busier, right?
I looked at you can actually buy just a Whistler Blackcomb pass. Mm-hmm. And I looked at both of them and I was trying to figure out why anybody would, because it just doesn't make any sense to me. But it was like more expensive with less options. So I don't know. But I won't even start to go into what's going on with this town in Vail, being the owner,
right?
Because I've just moved back, and it'll take me a year or two to figure out before I run for mayor.
Yeah, exactly. Please do.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be like? Is it a coming home of sorts?
Yeah.
You feel like that?
Yeah, it's really, really strange because it's not like coming home to the life I used to live up here.
Right.
But just the sense memory is so strong. Just the smells and the feeling and. There's something about having these mountains sitting over your shoulder that it just feels like home.
It's nuts.
And I definitely, it's not what I expected, but it's probably better.
Right, because you were going to buy a place and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We
were really close to having a place in Squamish or North Van. And I'm happier here.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm looking at now. I'm going to retire from Canada Post, try and do this full time.
Yeah.
And try and find a remainder, someone who owns land that's got a little nook somewhere that we could just put our forever dwelling on. We don't need much.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And
you can make a lot of place out of a very small footprint too.
Oh yeah, totally. And we're into that. That would be really fun.
Kim's got a friend Mike in London, and they found a tiny little corner of a lot that was somehow unclaimed and managed to claim it.
Oh, wow.
And the place they built in it is phenomenal.
Okay, so we're talking London, England?
In England, yeah.
Because
where there is no property.
When people talk about like the housing market being crappy here, I've heard in London they've been on leases. They've been selling leases for 50 years, right? Yeah. Because nobody's selling any property. Why would you ever?
Why would you ever?
Right.
Yeah.
So, we complain about a lot out here, but this is... this ain't London. This is awesome.
Whew. That's the truth.
Yeah, it's gorgeous out
Don't forget to take one of the cams and do the panoramic sweep of the mountains.
Yes.
Because this view is pretty spectacular. Yeah. You can't really see it right now, but...
Well, you had me in the first 5 words that you said 2 days ago when I called you. Like, I'm on a balcony. You're on this balcony looking...
From Mount Currie to Black Tusk.
Yeah, it's nuts, dude. Yeah. It's perfect.
It's amazing.
It's really important for that healing process. You're looking at bigger picture things, right?
I wake up and I walk out and I take deep breaths and I look at the mountain and I feel good. It's like I used to wake up and I'd look at the country music bar and see who OD'd last night. It's just not the same. It's just not the same.
Yeah. So I don't know what risk I'm at for health issues like
but you
what
should
you're talking
know.
About.
Here's an interesting thing. I've talked to people all the time who are in their 30s and 40s, and I'm like, what's your cholesterol like? And they're like, I don't know. you know, if I had known in my 30s that my cholesterol was genetically high and I was predisposed to this, they would have put me on statins and this would never have happened. And do you know how much of a pain in the ass statins are? Not at all. It's just taking a single pill a day, you know, and I talked to an ex-pro snowboarder a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, yeah, I've been trying to beat my cholesterol with lifestyle and diet. And I'm like, how's that working out for you? And he's like, it's not. I'm like, you'll never beat it. You have to understand that there's a genetic component to this that you cannot just switch off.
Right.
And you can also deal with it super simple. Just take a pill. It's like, I mean, I know that there are a lot of people have conspiracy theories about big pharma and everything else, but trust me, you don't want an 18-inch scar down the center of your chest. It sucks. Right. I'm super glad that my life is going to get a whole bunch better right now. Yeah. But going through what I went through in the last year sucks. Yeah. And I didn't have to.
How could it have been different if you would have gone for screening in your 30s?
In my 30s, even in the beginning of my 40s. Okay. The odds of me having a full blockage they go down exponentially.
So I should go get a screening for sure. Anyone that's out there,
you get a blood panel. If you're in your 30s and 40s and you're male or female, there's this understanding that it's like a male thing, but women have heart attacks too. Right. And you should know what your cholesterol is. Okay. If you have genetically high cholesterol, it will show up right away. It's not like because you had a burger and fries last night, it's going to look higher. Right. It doesn't work that way. Right. It's like it will show up in your and they'll start you on a program. And,
I'm afraid to go to the doctor because I'm afraid they're going to try and stick stuff up my butt or my penis or whatever. I don't want them to do that.
It's really hard to get through your heart from your penis.
Okay.
You can try.
Now I know. So if the doctor tries, I'm like, buddy, this is junk science.
It's junk science.
No, I do want to. I do want to do it, but I am scared.
I don't remember anybody in my 30s or 40s saying like, man, you should go and get just have a baseline blood panel done. And I wish that somebody had. I wish, you know, like it would have been a pretty simple thing to go through otherwise. Yeah. So I don't know, like, PSA, if you're, I think that a lot of people like me, like I didn't go to the doctor at all. I was just like, I'm fine. I'm a healthy guy, whatever. And I just didn't go and do any precautionary stuff. And fuck, I mean, I get it. Like you that old guy telling you to go do it, but dude, do it. It's simple. And I'm not now 70 saying it. I'm a 52-year-old saying it.
You're the young guy.
Like that a decade ago, I could have done things to make this not happen. And when I think about it in those terms, like it's pretty crazy. And you know, I've lost friends to heart disease and to cancer as well. But heart disease it's a huge killer, and it's something you can do about it. Like you might not know that you have cancer in you. You might never know until it gets you. But heart disease, you can figure it out pretty quickly. You can deal with it pretty quickly. You know, and it's not like they're going to say, well, you're going to have to start running marathons or you're going to keel over. Right. That's not the thing. Right. You know, it's like there's a genetic component to this, you know, like that you can, would I have been better if I never drank and you know, and jogged? Probably. Would it have happened anyways? Probably. Right. So, you know, you can't outrun the genetic part of your life. That's part of, you know, your burden. So go and get your blood checked. It's easy.
I'm setting it. I'm doing a doctor thing. And
blood panel is so simple. Like, hey, I want to check my cholesterol, and they'll be like, cool.
And then we can look at it, or they send it to you, or whatever. Yeah, I'm sure they look at it and they go,
or if you get it done at in BC, like I can go on. Have been getting it done at Life Labs, and so you get your thing, you go in there, and then you sign up on their website, and I can see all my blood levels.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I mean, I see it before the doctor does.
Yeah. And then the doctor calls you and goes, dude.
Well, or he'll say like, yeah, no, you're good.
Oh, that's great.
And just hearing no, you're good is going to make your life better. Yeah. Because eventually you're going to start thinking like, oh, when's you're going to lose a friend to heart disease or cancer or some you know, age related illness, and you're going to be like, when's the shoe going to drop for me? Well, if you know that that's not going to, your life's going to be better.
Feel a lot better. Yeah. Yeah, physically, because I do so much exercise with my job. Yeah. I don't know. you just feel like you're immune to everything until it happens.
Well,
to
the
you.
irony of this too is that, because my heart ended up being shitty, I had a year where I couldn't do anything, so I got really out of shape,
Right.
which makes it worse.
Right.
So now that I can,
Yeah, I do remember seeing you in the middle of that and just being like, Dano's going through something.
yeah, I got worse.
But the thing is, friends do that all the time, right?
Sure. You see people go
You
up and
meet a
down.
girl, and then you're sitting there watching movies, eating food for a year, right?
Yeah,
and
it's
you
true.
don't go snowboarding, you don't do your thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm going to get checked. Thank you for sharing that with me. I really,
What up?
I like, as soon as I spoke with you, see, the mechanism here is, it's the number one thing that I've gotten out of the show is getting to meet you guys, like
Yeah.
100%. Like for
Awesome.
me, getting to meet guys like you and, there's
pretty impressive, I
180.
know.
Yeah, there's like 180 guests. And
Have you had
sometimes
180 guests?
yeah, it sometimes overwhelms me that when I'm looking through those, I'm like, holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
I've talked with Steve Graham, like he's
Yeah.
such a big deal to me, or
Yeah.
Damien, any of these guys,
Yeah.
all the way up, Travis Rice. And that's the gift to me from the show. And so when we have like a kind of personal connection, like you and I would
Yeah.
consider you a friend, like
It's funny because like we've rambled on now for however long we've rambled on for, but we do this on the phone, like
Right.
on the regular. Whenever you
Right.
call, we'll
Yeah.
do a good 45-minute episode just on the phone.
It's absolutely true because you're
funny.
kindred spirit, and you lived as this, like I say, a gatekeeper during this time.
Well, I mean,
that was
bottom
so
line
important
is that
for all of us.
I gave a shit about, and still do give a shit about snowboarding in a way that you do.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like
It's true.
There's a lot of things that I am in my life, but like a photographer and a snowboarder are the things that I'll be remembered for.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is epic.
I wish they'd remember me for being a fly fisherman.
Is that what you're after? Well, you still got time.
No, honestly, it's the passion that I haven't turned into a job. So
How?
or I kinda did.
Yeah. That's one thing. Like I've spoken about it a lot. About when family says, "Well, why don't you go work at a resort as a lifty or a ski instructor, or
Yeah.
whatever?" I'm like, I see those guys every day. They are not snowboarding.
But I'll tell you something that like the years that I rode and worked on Whistler and Blackcomb, like I rode a lot for sure. And there were perks to that. You were, you could be
Yes.
up on the mountain in times that other people weren't. And
Truth.
there's everything is like if you're going to be the kind of person that like how I've lived my life is chase experience, not money.
Right.
And so if you're going to chase experiences, you should do that shit because you got put that in your back pocket.
That's it. That's
it's,
it.
I mean, it's not really a recipe for financial success, but at the end of the day, when you're like, talking to your friends, you're not talking about like my 401ks are killing it.
Right,
You're talking
right,
about the
right.
stuff you did.
Right.
And or the stuff you're still doing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, I can't wait to get back to bald face. And I can't wait to just to have an early morning up here where I'm done by 10:30 and working,
Yeah.
Yeah. I just can't wait to be having experiences that have nothing to do with like finances.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me.
Right. Yeah. My kid asked me yesterday when we were driving out to get a car, or it was yesterday, the day before. We do would you rathers all the time. So would you rather be the best snowboarder in the world or have $20 million? And I thought about it for a few minutes, actually. It's kind of like, well, that's a tough one because, first of all, defining the best snowboarder in the world is impossible.
Totally.
So, like, I could be the best snowboarder in the world if you just put a few limiters on it, right? Like my age.
Yeah.
And at,
But if you could,
at some
if you could
specific
reset
discipline
and start from 15.
Right. I get what he's saying. It's
Yeah.
like, would you rather be Shaun White? I'm like, well, he's both those things, a millionaire and,
Yeah.
but I'd rather be neither is what it came out as, because the responsibility of being, let's just say whatever millions of dollars it was, he's just saying, would you rather be financially like money driven?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Right.
When I'm thinking about
Right.
money all the time, it is a bummer.
Yeah.
And then also when I'm thinking about being the best snowboarder, that is a bummer. Those people that are really
know.
obsessed with, being at the
Sure.
top of the
Sure.
front of the thing,
I
that
mean, if
does
you-
never looks fun to me.
Yeah.
I want to be the guy in the helicopter. I said it to Jeremy
I think being
Jones.
the best snowboarder in 1991 would be awesome.
There you go. Yeah, if you put it at 91, sure, because you could, and there's a lot of opportunity for you there, and you could actually become that millionaire guy.
Yeah.
I love that Jeremy Jones, California Jeremy Jones. When we were talking, I said, dude, you just picked the absolute right thing, because when, Utah Jeremy Jones is sent somewhere, they're like, find the gnarliest rail for this guy, right?
Yeah.
But when you're sent somewhere, they're like, find a nice place for him to do a turn. Let's find a beautiful peak in the middle of nowhere.
That's pretty diminishing of what he does. It's pretty like...
No way, man. No, he gets to go all over the world and ride fast and awesome, which is fine.
Yeah, but he also has to...
He doesn't have to risk his life every time.
Big Mountain Jeremy Jones?
Okay.
Are you kidding me? Avalanches have killed more people than rails.
Okay. Yeah, but yes. But when they're looking at venues to send him to, Baldface is on the list, not for Jeremy Jones from Utah. They're not like, let's send Jeremy Jones to Baldface to make a few beautiful turns on the new equipment.
But it still happens. There'll be a team meeting there.
But it's a team meeting. It's not like his epic job is making a gorgeous turn.
Yeah.
I think all things being equal back then, I'm sure there was a time where he wished he was the half-pipe guy. His
drive was similar to Jibber Jeremy Jones's in that his series of movies took his thing and did it in the hardest way possible.
100%.
Human powered, farthest place, the craziest remote place you could do it.
Rad.
All of these ideas are taking people talk about fly fishing and they're like, why fly fishing? It's like, you could go put a worm on there and catch a fish. Yeah, I could catch way more fish with a worm.
Yeah,
for sure. But I want to do something in a hard way. I want to do something in a way that is aesthetically satisfying to me, and and that matters to me because the experience of going and catching a trout on a dry fly is the same as the experience of walking up a mountain and riding down it versus a helicopter. It's a different thing. It's harder and you get something more.
I'll take the heli every time. That's why I didn't want to.
I probably will too. But
yeah. No, I hear what you're saying, and
if you've taken the heli enough times,
right,
it stops being the thing. You start taking it for granted, and you stop feeling the same way about it. Yeah. And then you're like, I want to earn that turn in a different way.
So you get the heli to the top, and now you got your split board, and you're doing a little thing. I saw it with my friend who worked at CMH.
Yeah, sure.
Where we're in the same helicopter riding the same turns, and I'm like, this is the best powder of my life. She's like, you should have been here last week, though.
Sure.
And I'm like, this is ruined for you?
Yeah.
I don't want to be here. I'm not taking your job. I need this to be the best of the best of the best.
It's interesting too, because the guides, they get it, the best of the best of the best.
Totally.
And they also have to make you feel like it is that when it's not.
That's true. Yeah. And they see the worst of the worst.
And they have to farm snow and make it look good for when they see a high pressure coming for 3 weeks, they know know it's gonna suck.
Right.
That's a tough job too.
It is. I've watched it. I've watched it with a lot of respect, from both sides. Hey, I'm paying the money. Take me to the goods. They go, there's a lot of people paying them the money.
Tough week.
Yeah, tough week.
Yeah. I've been to a place on the Skeena River, Skeena Spey Lodge. A guy that I met in Whistler, actually, Brian Niska, and I've been up there a few times now, and I have the worst luck. It's a preposterously expensive experience, and it's on par with going to a guided heli or cat boarding place, but for big salmon in a river. And every time I go up there, the heavens unload and the river goes the highest it's ever been.
Oh, no.
In times when it absolutely shouldn't.
Right.
It's like I have terrible luck there. I've caught some fish, but man, it's a really, really great place. I really love it. But the people go up there and catch huge steelhead. I do not. I go up there and I see muddy brown rivers. So if you're ever thinking about going up to Skeena Spey, just give me a call.
Yeah.
And make sure I'm not going, and then you'll probably get good conditions.
That's so fun. Yeah, there's curses in fishing. I have a curse in fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ruin the trips for
But
people.
you know what? Curses, it's not like baseball curses. It's like the more you fish, the more likely it is that you will you'll break your curse. It's time in the game.
Yeah, you just have to go.
Yeah,
over and over. Yeah,
isn't that a great way to end it? You just have to go.
You just got to go.
Like that's everything in life, right? You just got to go.
That's true. You've said it a couple of times. You've articulated it really well. The difference between the people that go and the people that don't. Hey, it seems like some of the people that don't make a shit ton of money.
Sure,
which is great.
Yeah,
but you don't go, so you can't eat the money.
Can't eat the money. You can make the money, and then when you're 60, go to Mike Wigley's. But it's so much better when you're 20.
Yeah,
you know,
even when you're 50.
Yeah,
or
sure.
40. You know,
yeah.
I've never been to Mike Wigley's. Maybe someday.
Yeah, it's cool.
Should
go there for sure.
Oh, let's go together, man.
All right.
I'm so happy that you're healthy.
Me too.
It's so nice to see you genuinely smiling.
My next chapter is going to be a really, really good one. And I'm really excited about it.
Me too. Yeah. Do you want to plug anything? You still got side channel? Nothing?
Side channel's on hiatus.
Okay.
A combination of things. Because of heart surgery, I just couldn't do anything.
Of course. You're a friend of mine, John Roth, is in Mexico now. Yeah. Wishing him the absolute best down there with his kid and his wife.
Every time I talk to him, he sounds like he's doing great. So.
Good. Yeah,
and I've got new work that I'm really stoked on. So like the taking stress out of things, like being an entrepreneur and running something on your own, is a highly stressful thing. Mm-hmm. And so that was probably it was the wrong thing to be doing with a heart condition
at that time. Yeah. Right. So now.
Yeah.
Anything could happen.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do my work, and I'm going to ride a lot.
I'm glad that you're back on the mountain. That's the best.
I'm actually planning to shoot some snowboarding at some point this winter.
Oh my God! Of course, that would be the best.
I live here. Why not?
Yeah.
I got cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your passion. It's your thing.
That's right.
It's what you're known for.
It's what I'm known for.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks,
all right, buddy.
Dano.
I appreciate it.
FNRad shout-outs to Dano and Kim. As he mentioned, we always have the best conversations about snowboarding and all other topics whenever we talk. Thank you to Kim for preparing an amazing dinner while hosting this episode. An extra special thanks to you two for turning me on to Stuart Lee, the UK comedian. Listeners, if you're into comedy, look that shit up. He is fucking hilarious. Please join us next week for another episode of FNRad Snowboarding, presented by Vans and brought to you by SIA Productions.